out there. As he mentioned, hypothermic conditions will be possible, especially as we go throughout the next several evenings. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but I want to give you a look at our downtown web camera. It's pretty safe to say that some ice freezing over it. Temperatures at 31 degrees out at Camp Mabry, 32 out at the airport. Keep in mind the web camera is on top of a building, so the temperatures are most likely cooler up there. Winds from the north and northwest sustained at 8 miles per hour, gusts even stronger than that. Let's start with our temperatures and then look at the Doppler. Okay, so we are noticing that temperatures are in the upper 20s as you make your way out towards the west. As you make your way to Austin and the airport, as I mentioned, just at or below freezing. As we make our way down to Buda, you're still sitting right above freezing at 34 degrees. We're talking mid to upper 20s fairly consistently across the hill country. As you make your way out towards the coastal plains, still sitting above freezing. So that is why you are experiencing rain. But have no fear, you're eventually going to get that wintry mix coming your way. It should be transitioning over the next couple of hours, so you're going to want to make sure you are out of the roadways. So as Bryce was mentioning, roadways were treated. However, I do have some concerns in regards to all of this rainfall that we received kind of washing away any treatment that we might have seen yesterday. Notice that we are still seeing maybe even some snow flurries for portions of the hill country. Continue to send any information you may have about what you're experiencing, what you're seeing. Send it our way to the newsroom. We would love to share your content on air. Want to keep you posted on that aerial flood advisory for portions of Hayes, Travis, and Williamson County. That runs into effect until 7:30 this morning due to all that excessive rainfall. In fact, we saw anywhere from 1 to 2 inches as indicated by radar throughout the past 24 hours. Just the I-35 corridor got soaked with rain yesterday evening and into this morning. Some storms populated. You probably even heard several rumbles of thunder. Winter storm warning in effect until 9 o'clock this evening for a majority of the KVUE viewing area. Fayette County is the only exception. They are under a winter weather advisory though. Ice and sleet accumulations. When we're talking ice, up to 1/3 of an inch is fair game for areas in the warning. Some isolated pockets could be making it up to 1/2 inch. That is going to make for some very tricky travel conditions. That is why we were expressing to everyone, stay off the roads if you can. I know many people, maybe if you're working at the hospital, if you emergency management, anything like that, you're going to have to be on the roads. So take it easy and take it slow. High threat for cold temperatures, very low wind chills, and freezing rain and sleet throughout the day. Wintry precipitation on your impacts for travel. I think they'll be lower out east, but I-35 and hill country going to be pretty treacherous out there. Take a look at the futurecast. We expect that freezing rain and sleet to grow more widespread. Snow flurries could be scattered throughout the viewing area, but we're not concerned with snowfall accumulation. Notice that temperatures will be on the decline throughout the day. By 11 o'clock, we should have all transitioned to a wintry mix, whether that be freezing rain or sleet. Notice that the moisture continues to move out from west to east throughout the early afternoon. And then by dinner time, late evening hours, I'm expecting all of us to dry up in regards to that wintry mix. You can see it continuing to push out towards the east. I do expect, though, that hard freeze to really be settled in by the afternoon. In fact, I expect most of us in a hard freeze except for our eastern counties by then. Let's take a quick look at some of the updated ice accumulation forecast, starting with the European model. It wants to put Williamson County and Gillespie County towards some of the highest totals. You can see north of 1/4 of an inch for Georgetown and Lago Vista and Burnett. Johnson City all the way to Fredericksburg, talking about 1/3 of an inch, just under 1/4 of an inch in Austin. The NAM model, a little bit more widespread with the glazing. It includes our eastern counties, but still talking over 1/3 of an inch for areas such as Llano and around 1/3 of an inch for Fredericksburg and Burnett, just around 1/4 for Georgetown. The graph model is a little bit more widespread even than the NAM model was. We're talking anywhere from 1/4 of an inch for some of the areas as south as San Marcos. This one has been a little all over the place for the past couple of days, but I do want to show you this because it has done a pretty good job with the timeline. Today's forecast, notice that temperatures are going to be on the decline throughout the rest of the day. The temperatures you are experiencing right now will be the warmest you will feel for the rest of the day. It is breezy out there as well. That cold northerly wind blowing in, gusts anywhere from 25 to close to 30 miles per hour. We've actually now reached 30 miles per hour out in LaGrange, 20 mile per hour gusts out there in Fredericksburg. If we take a look at the current wind chill, it feels bone chilling in the hill country, feeling like it's in the teens, lower 20s elsewhere. As we take take a look at your future wind gusts. Notice it's going to stay on the blustery side throughout the rest of the day, the rest of the afternoon, evening, even into Friday. Gusts up to 30 miles per hour will be fair game, causing a significant wind chill. Even if we head into Friday afternoon, I'm still tracking gusts anywhere from 20 to 25 miles per hour, calming down overnight Friday into Saturday. So what does that mean it's going to feel like? Well, this is why we were talking about the possibility of hypothermic conditions. It could feel like it's in the single digits by lunchtime in the hill country, teens by around dinner time for Austin. And then as we make our way into Friday morning, we're tracking probably some of the coldest air of this system. And we're talking close to 0 degrees for the hill country and single digit feels like temperatures for a majority of central Texas. As we go into Friday afternoon, it will still feel like it's below freezing. Now, temperatures could get above freezing on Friday, but just ever so slightly. If those clouds don't move out of here, I would not be surprised if we see 60 consecutive hours of freezing or below freezing temperatures. Keep in mind, last year's winter storm, we had well over that for consecutive freezing period, okay? Notice by Saturday and Sunday, your afternoon highs well above freezing in the 40s and 50s, but also notice your overnight lows. They are in a hard freeze territory Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and then Tuesday we could see that morning start even in a light freeze. We'll continue to monitor everything in the forecast, but remember, you can keep track of the weather with us and get alerts on your phone through the KVUE News app. It's absolutely free to download in the App Store, and of course, stick with KVUE on air for the latest updates. But let's go ahead and get an update on the roads. Meteorologist Christopher Nunley is also helping us this morning. Christopher, what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, really good information, Shane. We're not only tracking the wintry weather threat that you talked about, but we also have some flooding concerns, especially in Travis County. So earlier this week, recall we saw 3 to 4 inches of rain, and overnight we saw an additional 1 to 2 inches along I-35. So there is some low water crossing areas that have become completely overrun with water. And where we had these red icons, this is actually where you have those low water crossings that are closed. There are more than 60 at this hour, and we're continuing to add on to that as that runoff continues to allow those creeks and streams to start to continue to rise. And where we have these yellow icons, this is where you need to use caution, where there's that possibility that there could be a low water crossing that is covered with water. So again, you want to make sure that you turn around, you don't drown. It doesn't take much water at all to wash a vehicle off the roadway. And again, we have more than 60 low water crossings across central Texas that are currently closed due to flooding that we experienced overnight, continuing into the morning hours. Now, with that heavy rain we saw, the roads are wet, of course, and now temperatures have plunged below freezing. All of Travis County is now at or below freezing, and that's an issue because we're going to start to see that water on the roadways start to freeze. Anywhere where you see that temperature at 32 or lower than 32, that's where you need to start worrying about those icing issues initially on the bridges and overpasses, so any elevated surface, but then even those surface roadways are eventually going to ice over as those temperatures continue to fall. Where the biggest concerns are where you have temperatures ranging between 26, 27, 28 degrees. That's where we're likely already seeing those icing issues across the area. And you can see much of central Texas is currently at or below freezing. So you want to make sure you stay inside if you can. You don't want to get on the roadways. If you do have to get on the roadway, you want to give yourself extra time to get to where you're going and leave quite a bit of distance between you and the car in front of you. Taking a look at the roads here, you can see traffic is moving fine. This is I-35 South at Manor. The roads there, they look icy, but that's water, but that's going to quickly freeze over. So we are concerned about that. So just keep that in mind that those roads are likely going to freeze over, what's known as a flash freeze. So with those temperatures falling eventually into the 20s, any of that water on the roadway is going to quickly freeze over. So again, those roads are going to start going downhill. And you can see here at our studio, this is actually now went from a rain to a freezing rain now to sleet. And that's concerning. So now that we're seeing sleet out there, that indicates that the warm layer that's melting those snowflakes is actually less than what we were seeing a little bit earlier. So that means, well, first off, that's going to lessen the power outage risk, but that's going to make the roads worse. If we get more sleet accumulations than we were currently expecting, roads are really going to go downhill. And you can already see we have a few incidents that are popping up across the area. Now, not sure if these are caused due to wet roads or icy roads. Most likely it's due to wet roads, but we have a few incidents popping up. So we have an accident on I-35 northbound in North Park. We also have an accident on Brenham Street at Lexington Street, and we also have an accident on I-35 northbound at Anderson Lane. So again, you can see we're starting to see quite a bit of issues pop up here in the Austin Metro, and as you work your way farther west, boy oh boy, Gillespie County, it's a mess out there, but especially on I-10. So if you're if you know anybody that's heading along I-10, it is a complete mess through southwestern parts of Gillespie County due to that icing that has continued since really around 11 o'clock last night. It has continued throughout the morning hours, and those road conditions are continuing to go downhill, especially as you work your way into, say, Burnett, Blanco counties to the west. Here's a look at some of the drive times out there. Again, I don't recommend getting on the roadways, but if you have to, if you're heading down 35 north from Buda, if you're heading from Buda to downtown, that's a 15-minute drive time, and if you're heading south from Round Rock to 183, that is going to take you about 15 minutes. Stay tuned. We'll have another look at the radar on the other side of the break.